Update 4.7 is out right now and has brought us 4 new weapons and refines. This month we have new toys for Berkut, Sheena, female Corrin, and fallen Celica. This is a pretty decent batch of weapons and we'll be covering all of them and talk about some ways to use them. As a heads up, apparently fallen Celica's refine is mistranslated, at least in the English version of the game, so we'll also address that when we get to her. First up we have Berkut. He's been waiting a long time for this and he got the Dark Royal Spear. It has 16 might, and if the foe initiates combat or if the foe has 100% HP at the start of combat, Berkut gets plus 5 attack, defense, and resistance during combat. Dark Royal Spear replaces Berkut's old lance but keeps the spirit of the weapon by giving him bonus stats on the enemy phase. It may not be plus 7 resistance, but Berkut adds plus 5 attack and defense instead, which is great for all purpose tanking. He is a slow lance cavalier, so enemy phase tanking was his main playstyle anyway, and Dark Royal Spear isn't going to change that. Now for the refined effect, this weapon adds on low attack and defense 3, inflict -3 attack and defense on the foe during combat, and neutralize their attack and defense field buffs. Very simple ability, but a great boon for Berkut because lows are some of the best Cavalier B skills, at least outside of the normal old options. So altogether, Dark Royal Spear is a great tank weapon. Berkut gets plus 5 attack, defense, and res, and then he's going to inflict -3 attack and defense on the enemy, while also getting rid of their attack and defense field buffs. This effectively gives Berkut a plus 8 defense and res boost, and a plus 8 attack boost as well. The enemy not having attack buffs makes him tankier, and without defense buffs, Berkut is free to whack them with that extra damage. Without having to actually run low attack and defense in the B slot, Berkut frees it up for something else, and you probably already know what the go-to option is going to be. As a slow unit, Berkut's not going to have much player phase power, although he can activate his weapon against a full health target, so if you need some chip damage, Berkut can get a solid hit in. That said, it's just easier to focus on the enemy phase where Dark Royal Spear is always active, and Berkut will be a typical quick riposte user. He can get that follow-up attack to actually have kill pressure, and Dark Royal Spear is adding a good amount of bonus attack on top of Berkut's solid base attack stat. If you want to tank ranged units, then you're going to need distant counter, and since we have the low plus quick riposte combo already going, the Sacred Seal slot is free for any defensive skills. You can take close or distant defense, a stance skill like warding stance, or even renewal to help keep Berkut healthy. Bonds also provide a lot of bonus stats, so use those as well. If you're going to go with the standard quick riposte playstyle, then you do have a lot of options on the table. For the C slot, I would definitely recommend Attack Smoke to stack with the low attack and defense debuffs. In the A slot, distant counter is just generally great for utility, but Berkut can also use Fortress Defense and Res 3 for the flat defense and res boost, or a tier 3 dual stance, which would be excellent because of the built-in guard effect. You can also try out a bond scale or upgrade to the newish form A skills. There is also good old solo skills if you so desire. While we definitely want quick riposte in pretty much any build, you can swap it around to the Sacred Seal slot too. That would make room for Mystic Boost, which gives plus 6 HP after combat. Overall, Dark Royal Spear is a pretty sweet upgrade if you are already running a defensive setup on Berkut. He is a rather simple unit to build with the good old enemy phase playstyle, but that doesn't make it any less effective. Very solid weapon and refined. Next up we have Sheena, an Axe army unit who got the Crimson Axe, a very popular plus 10 merge project from way back in the day, and you've probably seen Sheena a bunch in PvP modes. With her new Crimson Axe, it grants the basic slang effect. Sheena will have accelerated specials, which is always good. Refining Crimson Axe would then add if foe initiates combat or if foe's HP equals 100% at the start of combat, grants plus 5 attack and defense, and inflicts special cooldown charge -1 on the foe per attack. Alrighty, so pretty similar offering as Berkut's new spear. Crimson Axe always works in the enemy phase and can work on the player phase against a full health target. This weapon basically is a sling axe with sturdy stance 3, only losing out on 1 attack and defense point. Sheena is going to be another primary enemy phase unit, and having bonus stats plus built-in guard is really solid. As an army unit, Sheena has amazing base stats and is a standard kinda slow army unit with really good HP, defense, and res. She can take a lot of punishment, and thanks to the availability of armor fighter skills, Sheena can score some nice perks. Crimson Axe is really good for anyone who was using a Sling Axe or even the Guard Axe before on Sheena. Now she can get both perks just from using this one weapon, and you get a little extra attack and defense on the side too. Like Berkut, Sheena is a fantastic enemy phase unit, and she gets to use Vengeful Fighter, which is a way better quick riposte skill. With Crimson Axe, she now gets accelerated specials, special cooldown reduction, and built-in guard. You could run Special Fighter for better special cooldown effects, but I think going with Vengeful Fighter is the way to go, unless maybe you're running some kind of speed focused build. DC plus Vengeful Fighter is a very standard armor setup, and Crimson Axe amplifies its effectiveness by providing guard and extra stance. Like Berkut, this is probably the build you will see the most, and you can choose your favorite defensive Sacred Seal as well. If you just want to be annoying, then Crimson Axe can make Sheena into a crazy stalling tank. You can run Fortress Defense and Res 3, and if you have a plus 10 Sheena with a Res boon, she would then have 46 defense and 46 resistance flat out. Add on Worry Fighter, Attack Smoke, and the guard ability from the Crimson Axe, and you'll need a lot of damage to wear Sheena down. You could even use Pulse Smoke to really stop enemy special charging. This would be something you would use just to hold down an area, maybe an Aether Raise just to screw with teams who don't have a super strong red unit or an Armor Slayer. You could run Fallen Shield if you feel Sheena is tanky enough already, but it's nice to just have a stupid amount of defense and res on the screen. Obviously this is vulnerable to no follow-up, and the pilots actually just ignore guard and Worry Fighter altogether. Still, Sheena has been around for years now, so most players know how to deal with army units like her. Crimson Axe does make her pretty dang annoying though, so I would expect to see her running around in arena with this new weapon. Like Berkut, most Sheenas probably just get a straight upgrade and they can keep running their same old builds. Next we have female Corrin, who got the Gloom Breath weapon. This is a 16-mite Dragonstone that is an upgrade from Corrin's old Dark Breath Plus. It still inflicts -7 attack and speed on the target and foes within 2 spaces after combat, but now it also comes with a better threaten skill. At the start of the turn, inflict -7 attack and speed on foes within 2 spaces through their next actions. Corrin can now inflict a very annoying attack and speed debuff without actually getting into a fight. This will be useful if you are surrounded by multiple enemies or if Corrin is in the middle of tanking someone. If she does make an attack on someone, she will spread the same debuff like normal. Corrin is still about debuffing, and the Special Refine further plays into that. Corrin gets a bonus to attack, speed, defense, and res during combat equal to the current penalty on each of the target stats. Each stat is calculated independently. So we have seen this effect before. It's the same refine as Sizo's Star, and Brave Micaiah also has this ability on her weapon. You can kind of think of this like a reverse bonus doubler / debuff doubler, although that's not entirely correct. As an example, let's say Corrin applies her -7 attack and speed debuff to some enemy. Thanks to the refined effect, Corrin will then get +7 attack and speed during combat against that enemy. This is a very powerful ability because we can gain some huge stat advantages. From the example, Corrin already has a +14 speed advantage in her favor, and she's decently fast by default. If you fight Corrin with a speed debuff, you're gonna need an insane amount of speed to counteract the difference. The unfortunate part of Gloom Breath is that Corrin will need to find defense and res debuffs to gain bonus defense and res for herself. Sizo's Star applies debuffs to all 4 stats, but if you run Corrin with defense and res smoke, it's kinda awkward because Corrin doesn't normally benefit from defense debuffs anyway. For that reason, while Corrin has ways to apply her own debuffs, she will probably be best still with other debuff centric teammates. I mean, you could pair her with Sizo and both of them are going to benefit a ton. Just remember that normally Gloom Breath won't give Corrin immediate benefits, but if you have teammates applying debuffs for Corrin, then she can feed off of those with Gloom Breath's Refine. Now first off, I want to say that Corrin can definitely use Distant Counter. I don't have it shown on screen because I want to highlight some other options. For example, Gloom Breath would pair nicely with low attack and speed. Corrin inflicts -3 attack and speed debuffs in combat, which can stack with her -7 attack and speed field debuffs. That means once Corrin gets her debuff train going, enemies now have -10 attack and speed, and Corrin is getting extra attack and speed for herself. The enemies can't even use buffs to counteract the debuffs. I can see this being an extremely annoying build if you don't take Corrin out immediately. I think it would work well with Brazen Defense and Res in the A slot just to help Corrin bunker down and make her that much harder to kill. You could also go with a solo skill since those work on both phases, and if you saw the in-game notification, it is confirmed that we are getting solo Sacred Seals. Speed and Res is the first one, and Corrin can definitely use that one just fine. If you want a slightly different playstyle, then Corrin could use the Rally plus Ruse combo. Anyone can use this setup really, but with Gloom Breath's reverse bonus doubler ability, Corrin herself can take advantage of the Ruse debuffs to get bonus stats and fight an enemy inflicted with guard. She can provide buffs for her team, then if she does fight, she spreads her nasty attack and speed debuff from Gloom Breath. I would go with defense and res Ruse if you can get it, because then we aren't overlapping debuffs. To go with this setup, you could use a tier 3 dual stand skill, although not completely necessary. You could also run Panic Smoke on this Corrin, which wouldn't be a nightmare on top of the -7 attack and speed debuffs. If the enemy has buffs they can't stop from activating, then Panic would really screw them over, especially if it's an attack buff that gets panicked. If you see this type of setup, you really want to avoid letting Corrin live that first round of combat. Last, I do think you could run an offensive build for Corrin. This would mainly be under the idea that you're bringing a debuffer for Corrin to take advantage of from the start. For example, let's say I bring a Tamari Dagger user. This weapon inflicts -5 attack and speed on clumped up enemies, which is perfect for Corrin to take advantage of by initiating combat first. She would have a huge speed advantage, and then after combat, Gloom Breath spreads an even bigger attack and speed, an AoE debuff, which keeps the debuff train going. There are a lot of great debuffers out there like Aversa, Gunthra, and even Brave Micaiah who has a similar weapon effect. If you run the Brawly fan, then you kind of have an idea of what a debuff focused team consists of. Add in some field buffs of your own onto Corrin and you create massive stat differences. For offensive skills, Corrin definitely wants bonus attack and speed, so things like Swift Spear and Flashing Blade are great. Times Pulse is just a generally good skill since specials are so potent, and if you can avoid panic, then bonus doubler is another fun idea. If you enjoyed the original Dark Breath Dragonstone, then Gloom Breath just amplifies that playstyle. Female Corrin can definitely trap you into doing a lot less damage with big speed penalties, so when fighting her you have to end things quickly. Allowing her to survive is a very bad idea, and if you are the one using Corrin, then you want to boost her survivability as much as you can. Last unit on the list for today is Fallen Celica. She keeps her original beloved Zofia, but it did get a buff. It still grants +3 flat defense, but it now no longer has an HP requirement for the extra +4 boost to all stats. Beloved Zofia is now like Fallen Delthea's Death Tome. It essentially is a fury weapon, but the stat boost is only during combat, and after combat Celica's gonna take 4 recoil damage. Now for the special refined upgrade, if the foe initiates combat or if Celica has less than 100% HP at the start of combat, she gains another +4 to all stats during combat, and if she makes an attack, she heals 7 HP on hit. Okay, as mentioned at the start of the video, there appears to be a mistranslation for this refine, and it's kinda important. That underlined part, if foe initiates combat, appears to be incorrect. Apparently, it's supposed to say if foe or unit has less than 100% HP, and the rest is the same. At the time of recording, I have not seen video proof of this being the case, but I did see one of the data miners who have tested other wonky interactions. They did confirm the mistranslation, so I'm going to assume this is the correct description. If something changes, I will update the video description. Okay, so what does all of this actually mean? Basically, Celica or her opponent must be less than full health for Celica to get another +4 to all stats, and her 7 HP healing on hit. Beloved Zofia is kinda a crazy weapon. The first part of the weapon has recoil damage, but the second part has healing on hit. However, for the second part to activate, Celica has to be hurt anyways, so doesn't that seem somewhat anti-synergistic? Well, actually, it's very important to understand that the 7 HP when she attacks is during combat. Celica can shrug off enemy damage, heal back to full HP, but after combat ends, she's gonna take 4 recoil damage regardless. You cannot prevent this except with Mystic Boost. This is actually a good thing because after Celica's first round of combat, she is now under 100% HP guaranteed, therefore the refined ability is now activated, and we don't have to care about the enemy's HP stat. That then allows Celica to heal 7 HP every attack she makes, but she will never reach full health unless you use a healer on her. It is indeed a very odd playstyle where Celica gets a massive +8 to all stats very easily, and you don't really need to worry about reactivating this effect. She just needs one fight and then you're good to go. If you're still confused, hopefully I can explain it better with some builds. Now, to me, Beloved Zofia's Refine seems to scream for Close Call or Repel. Think about it like this: you have possibly 40% damage reduction, plus healing on hit, plus a lot of free stats. Damage reduction is so strong with healing abilities because every point of HP just becomes more important, and if we are building Celica for speed, that should hopefully mean she gets a lot of follow-up attacks. If she doubles with the Refine active, that's 14 HP per fight, and we only lose 4 of that after combat. 10 extra HP to work with can definitely be useful when damage reduction is in play. Celica can use skills like Attack and Speed Solo, the new Solo Sacred Seal, and these will be stacking with the +8 to all stats from Beloved Zofia. She just needs to fight one single time, and the recoil damage will ensure she gets that huge stat boost. On the topic of follow-up attacks, you may instead use no follow-up. Definitely has its uses against tanks, but the Sword Infantry group is filled with strong no follow-up candidates, so it's really up to you. The most important thing for Celica is that she would get the extra healing from a second attack. For some other speed-based skills to use, we got Flashing Blade 3 or 4, and Swift Sparrow in the A slot or Sacred Seal slot. Since Beloved Zofia is giving us so many extra stat points, you really can pick and choose what bonus stats you want to throw in on top. Maybe you want a ton of extra attack, or maybe you want to grab extra defense or resistance. If you want utility, then Distant Counter might be your pick, and if Celica can hit range units, that just means more healing, right? Vantage is definitely another good choice, and you could pair it with Savage Blow for extra splash damage. I saw some people talking about using Savage Blow to proc the Refined ability by fighting foes with less than full HP, but you have to attack to activate Savage Blow, and if Celica attacked, then she gets hit by the recoil damage, so really it's not like Savage Blow is a must use on her. It would be useful if you plan to heal Celica outside of combat, or you can use it on one of Celica's teammates. Speaking of which, Beloved Zofia's Refine actually works incredibly well with Duma. Remember, Duma's unique Upheaval skill inflicts -7 damage to all enemies on turn 1, so that would activate Beloved Zofia's Refine immediately from the start. That's a neat little interaction because Fallen Celica is under control by Duma's Faithful. Overall, Beloved Zofia is a strange weapon, but it's not actually that hard to utilize. The only bad thing is that Fallen Celica's HP is going to be fluctuating a lot, so skills that depend on HP thresholds may become unreliable. For example, Desperation might get really wonky because Celica can heal back above 75% HP. Same goes for Brazen skills and Wrath. Maybe if you run Fury in the A slot, or maybe one of the push 4 skills, you can get around this. Mystic Boost can also add another layer on top of all of this out of combat HP shenanigans. I'm not going to get too deep into it because a lot depends on how much damage Celica is taking from her opponent, and that obviously is going to change every single fight. I think Beloved Zofia is certainly interesting. It grants a ton of stats and provides some extra survivability at the cost of recoil damage. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it, especially if you do give it a try. That's going to be it for update 4.7's new weapons and refines. Actually a pretty good group, and everyone got a neat and usable weapon. I'm not sure if I'll be grabbing any of these refines, but I am interested in Corrin's one. I never fully invested in her, but maybe now's the time. Let me know your thoughts on these new upgrades, and please do share your own builds with everyone in the comments. I'll be back soon to talk about our second summer banner, so I'll see you guys in the next video.